I love Christmas. All you Halloween truthers can get out. I love Christmas so much that I've actually ended up talking about it on this channel in June, July, and October. I might have a problem. But now it's December, and I have every right to dedicate an entire video to this wonderful time of year. In the big old Mickey Mouse video I did, I brought up a little movie called Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas a number of times, but I completely neglected the film's sequel, Mickey's Twice Upon a Christmas, and the comments let me know about it. Admittedly, despite growing up with fondness for both of these movies, I look back on Twice Upon a Christmas much more critically. But hey, it's Christmas, and I think it's only fair to give both these movies another shot and see how they really stack up. So today we're going to rank every short from both movies and just kinda talk about them. Also, just to make the ranking a nice 10 segments, I'm throwing in Mickey's Christmas Carol and Duck the Halls. You can't stop me. Donald's Gift is the easiest last place of my life. Let's start with the most obvious thing that plagues the entirety of Twice Upon a Christmas: the animation. I have no intelligent way of putting this, it's just bad, it's ugly, I don't like looking at it. This will hopefully be the only time I bring it up, but just know that this applies to all the Twice Upon a Christmas segments. As for the short itself, it's just really mean and kind of depressing. Donald is having a rough day after some Christmas shopping goes wrong. When he gets home, he tries to relax with hot cocoa, but Daisy and the triplets drag him to the mall. Hijinks ensue, everyone gets mad at Donald for being selfish, and they all come together in the end to sing "We Wish You a Merry Christmas." Everyone is a jerk in this short. Like, yes, Donald is selfish and needlessly childish about the whole thing, but Daisy is also incredibly rude and not taking Donald's feelings into account at all, and the triplets, oh, we'll talk more about them later. But let's just say they do not help. Ultimately, this short seems to take the stance of, if Christmas is annoying you, shut up, get into it, where's your Christmas spirit? Look, I'm a Christmas fanatic, and even I know if someone's not feeling it, forcing Christmas onto them is not the way to go. It's just going to make everyone more miserable. And as I watch this short, yeah, I kinda get sick of Christmas too. It's a lot of noise, and people, and the same songs over and over again. Not a great sign when your Christmas short makes you like Christmas less. It's so bizarre how the short feels designed to torture Donald and make you sympathize with him, only for it to be turned around so that apparently Donald's the one in the wrong. I think there was a potentially interesting story here, sort of like how the Peanuts Christmas special critiques the rampant consumerism surrounding Christmas and how it's watered down the true meaning of the holiday. But nope, the lesson is stop being a Grinch. This segment sucks, and I kind of never want to see it again. Also, the Mousie's window is nightmare fuel. Thankfully, that was the only short on this list that I adamantly disliked. Yeah, despite me writing off Twice Upon a Christmas for years, revisiting it was actually a mostly positive experience for me. Next up we have Bells on Ice, which is a bit odd in a couple ways. First of all, the whole setup is strange. Minnie and Daisy are in a skating competition, and after Daisy mistakenly starts skating early, she goes full diva and actively sabotages Minnie's routine to steal the spotlight. And Minnie claps back in full force. Just why? Why are you both being so petty and awful about this? I don't know who's running this whole skating competition, but they should probably step in and stop whatever's going on, right? Daisy, wait your turn and you can outskate her fair and square. But instead, there's this whole dramatic sequence featuring the dancers from Fantasia's Dance of the Hours, which is neat. It all culminates with Minnie failing this jump and getting hurt, and oh, now Daisy's concerned about her friend. Also, gotta say, not really a Christmas story when you think about it. They shoehorn in a little Merry Christmas at the end, but it feels like such a last-minute reminder that, yep, this is a Christmas movie. The saving grace of this short is that the skating's fun. For as much grief as I give the animation, the skating was fun to watch. And yeah, that's the whole short. I guess Twice Upon a Christmas has to cram some shorter ones in here because it's got about the same runtime as Once Upon a Christmas despite having 2 more segments, which pretty comfortably leads us to our next entry. Christmas Maximus. Max brings home a girl for Christmas and is worried about Goofy being Goofy. This is definitely the shortest of the bunch. Pretty much the entire segment spans the length of this cheesy little song that's playing over it, and it's a perfectly harmless and cute short. It does everything it wants to do quickly and efficiently, and I can't really judge it too harshly for that. Max is embarrassed by his dad, he gets a bit grumpy about it, realizes he's being stupid, and then goes back and has fun. It works, but it's effectively a music video. I will say, I've seen people get mad about the fact that Max isn't dating Roxanne from a Goofy movie in this short. It's a new girl, Mona. But like, come on, how many people do you know who stuck it out with their romantic partner from high school? It makes all the sense in the world that Max has moved on to someone else, it's fine. Though the weird Goofy teeth reveal at the end is a little off-putting, not gonna lie. Yeah, okay, again, shortest one of the bunch, so I don't really have much else to say. Let's just move it along. So here's our first little detour of the list with Duck the Halls. This video was just going to be about the two movies, but as I was using Disney Plus to watch them, I saw this and Mickey's Christmas Carol in the recommended and figured, well, it's not like I'm going to have any better time to talk about these. So here we are. For those who don't know, Duck the Halls is a Christmas special for the series of Paul Rudish shorts that started back in 2013. The plot is that, apparently, the ducks have to go south for the winter and thus miss Christmas every year. But this year, Donald is so enamored by how fun Christmas could be that he decides to stay with Mickey and almost dies. Ultimately, Santa shows up and is just like, bro, you could just have Christmas down south, and they all celebrate a tropical Christmas. This is first and foremost a comedic short. And I think that's pretty much where it falls flat for me. I kind of expect a Christmas story to get at some sort of core message behind the holiday, and this really doesn't. Everything that Mickey and Donald get excited for regarding Christmas is all the superficial stuff. And hey, I get excited about all of that too, but I was expecting a little bit more. They never make any sort of comment about how Donald's blowing off his family for this, and the ultimate message is just, you can have Christmas anywhere. Like, yeah, we know, this is not a problem. You just made this a problem for this specific scenario. So, the merits of this short ultimately boil down to its comedy, and yeah, as always, the Paul Rudish shorts hit it out of the park there. There's also this earworm of a song in there that I have been humming since I watched this. But I guess I just want something a little more out of a Christmas story than some laughs. I can at least appreciate that this is a Donald-centric story in which he's pretty much never angry. That is a rare sight. Applause for that. Alright, back on track we have Christmas Impossible. Huey, Dewey, and Louie break into the North Pole to get their names on the nice list. I was not expecting to like this one going in. The triplets as they appear in all of these Christmas specials are kind of insufferable. They are incredibly obnoxious pranksters that constantly have to relearn what it means to be a decent human being. Or duck. And that's certainly the vibe that this short gives off. The boys have very little regard for their family or the chaos they cause at Santa's workshop throughout the entire short. Not that the entirety of these scenes are bad, there's some fun stuff, but it's hard to cheer for the triplets during any of it. Also, the animation is at an all-time low. Then they do the bit where they kinda learn their lesson and help the elves out, but even that feels half-baked and phony. Until they actually find the nice list, and here's where the short sells me on it. Huey, Dewey, and Louie don't put their names on it, they put Scrooge's. I totally forgot that that's how this short ended, so it was honestly a pleasant surprise. There's this whole scene with Scrooge at the start of the short that sets this up, but there's so much going on between then and them getting to the nice list that it didn't really cross my mind until they pretty clearly stated it. And this works wonders for me. It single-handedly dragged this short up above all the previous ones because it got to a core theme of the Christmas season. Arguably the core theme, giving to others. And yeah, it's corny and cheesy and wholesome, and I love it. And now with the context of the ending, I generally just enjoy the whole short a lot more. It's a good time. Not amazing or anything, but it hit me in the feels just well enough to earn 6th on the ranking. Oh boy. We're not done with these ducks yet, because next up is Donald Duck Stuck on Christmas. Oh yeah, Once Upon a Christmas is part of this list. We managed to get through 4 out of the 5 Twice Upon a Christmas shorts before hitting the first Once Upon a Christmas one. Yeah, as much as I did enjoy both rewatches, I still say Once Upon a Christmas blows its sequel out of the water. But these ducks are definitely the weakest link here. This story is an adaptation of Christmas Every Day, a short story from 1892. Or should I say this is an adaptation of Groundhog Day, because that's pretty much what this feels like. Huey, Dewey, and Louie wish that it could be Christmas every day. They have fun with it for a while, but eventually get sick of it. So, in their boredom, they use one of their Christmases to just be the worst children I have ever seen, ruining every part of the holiday their family holds dear. Then, much like Christmas Impossible, they realize the error of their ways and come around, using the next loop to give their family the perfect Christmas, which very much reminds me of how Groundhog Day plays out. The lesson? Don't be terrible and selfish. I am sensing a theme with these triplet stories. All that probably made it sound like I don't like this short, and that's not true. It's very charming, and the lesson works. It even has an equivalent to the writing Scrooge's name on the nice list moment where they use their sleds to give Donald a boat for Christmas. That's wholesome. I guess, I don't know, I feel like there's a more interesting version of this story. And I'm not just saying that because I love the Fairly OddParents Christmas special, I'm more so talking about choice of theme here. I feel like wanting the best day ever to be repeated over and over again begs a lesson in the beauty of finality. Nothing is beautiful because it lasts, Christmas is special because it only comes once a year. And, if you'll indulge my Fairly OddParents obsession a bit more, I think the way that show handles the Christmas Every Day story is a bit more interesting because of that. Timmy is a selfish kid, sure, but the special isn't about learning to be kind to others or anything. That's not the focal point. And why should it be? Timmy's wish comes from a pure place. He wants his neglectful parents to be around more, and the toys are a nice bonus. As the special ends, Timmy says, "I wish that tomorrow ain't Christmas, but I wish that the feeling would stay." Because yeah, the feeling's great, but Christmas just doesn't work when it's every day. It stops being special and just becomes a chore. And I don't know, I feel like that's the idea that should be explored more in a Christmas everyday story. I think it's way more interesting than "Don't Be Selfish." A million different Christmas stories can do that. I don't mean to judge Donald Duck Stuck on Christmas too harshly for this. From what I can glean from the 1892 story, the selfishness angle is what they go for. I guess I just personally see some missed potential here. And yeah, I don't like seeing the triplets be completely terrible to everyone and everything. This isn't fun. I want my DuckTales triplets back. Though now that we've finally got into Once Upon a Christmas, and we're roughly halfway through this thing, I want to briefly touch on the interstitials for both movies. All the shorts are tied together by a narrator guiding us through some toys in the first movie and a pop-up book in the second. This is the one thing I'd say Twice Upon a Christmas does better overall. The little pop-up book is cute, I like the artwork on it, it takes us into the stories very nicely, it just works very well. In comparison, Once Upon a Christmas is fine. Nothing spectacular, but I did notice on this most recent rewatch that when the gang comes together to sing Christmas tunes at the end, each group's song is actually present somewhere in their original short. For example, in Donald Duck Stuck on Christmas, when Scrooge starts singing Christmas carols, it's always "We Wish You a Merry Christmas." So in the ending sequence, guess what the ducks are singing? I don't know why they always end up with this song, but it works. It's just a nice bit of musical consistency I wanted to point out. It's fun. Alright, time for the other detour. It's Mickey's Christmas Carol. Even now as I'm writing this segment, I have no clue how to properly rank this thing. It feels like the quintessential Mickey Mouse Christmas special, and yet it's not original in the slightest, a fairly cut-and-dry retelling of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. Just, with Mickey Mouse characters. I'm not going to sit here and try to critique or even give much praise to this story we've all heard a million times. A greedy miser learns the importance of giving to others after getting scared out of his mind by 3 ghosts. That's really the most striking thing about this one compared to all the others. There is a scary, or at the very least spooky, undertone to this whole thing. Scrooge is effectively threatened into becoming a good person. And despite the sometimes cutesy and safe nature of the Mickey Mouse universe, they don't really hold back on that at all. I have Scrooge falling into his fiery grave as Pete laughs from above, burned into my skull. Mickey Mouse sheds tears over the death of his son. No punches are really pulled. The only time anything feels kinda lame is when Goofy as Jacob Marley comes in and does his whole slapstick routine while also warning Scrooge about his eternal punishment. Yeah, that doesn't sit quite right. Otherwise, everyone is cast perfectly in their roles. Scrooge was effectively made for this. Literally, he was based on Ebenezer Scrooge. So, of course, Donald as his nephew, naturally, Mickey as the wholesome Bob Cratchit, Daisy as Scrooge's lost love, so on and so forth. Glad to see a handful of other Disney characters thrown in as well, namely Jiminy Cricket, Willie the Giant, and the cast of Wind in the Willows. So, yeah, it's Mickey's Christmas Carol. It's a classic. Your mileage might vary depending on how you feel about this particular story, but there's no doubt that this adaptation is one of the most prominent for good reason. Well, here we are, the final Twice Upon a Christmas short. It's Mickey's Doggone Christmas. I had written off this short for a long time because I remember being put off by how angry Mickey is at Pluto at the start. That's kind of a theme with these Twice Upon a Christmas shorts. They all start off a little too mean-spirited for my liking. But then I rewatched the segment and, yeah, okay, I'd be pissed if my dog did this too. Like, yes, obviously the dog doesn't really know any better, but I'm only human. My emotions would get the better of me. Though it's funny how quickly these characters like to throw around the phrase, "Christmas is ruined." Calm down, the decorations broke. It's not the end of the world. But anyway, after Pluto ruins Christmas, he runs away and ends up at the North Pole where he's taken in by Santa's reindeer. Meanwhile, Mickey freaks out trying to find him. Another bit of overreaction there. I don't know, whenever my dog gets out, he usually just ends up coming back home on his own. Which is actually exactly what Pluto does, so go figure. I don't think this short is really saying anything particularly impactful about Christmas or anything. I don't even think that it's that interesting a story at all. But it is very sweet and hits right in the feels. But most importantly, I think it does add a bit of flavor to the Mickey and Pluto dynamic through something as simple as, well, letting them go through things any owner and dog have gone through. Getting unreasonably angry at your pet, and the pet running away. I guess I never had a dog as a kid. I got my first dog in high school, so I hadn't really ever seen this short with the context of actually being a dog owner. It hits a lot closer to home now. So, you know what? I want to correct a small error from my best version of every Mickey Mouse character video. This is in fact the best version of the Mickey and Pluto dynamic. And beyond that, I find Pluto's little escapades with the reindeer to be very charming. It's kind of just there to make sure you remember that this is a Christmas movie, but it's still fun. So Twice Upon a Christmas gets to finish strong. I still wouldn't say the movie as a whole is great, or even good really. Again, the animation is a big thing bringing the whole package down, and I'm only really getting any mileage out of 2 of the 5 shorts, but I still found myself getting swept up in the nostalgia and Christmas spirit of it all. It'll probably be a few more Christmases before I put it on again, but I'm glad I did this year. Anyway, let's get back to the really good movie. A Very Goofy Christmas is a special that still surprises me every time I watch it. I just never really expect a children's film to, in any real capacity, address the idea that Santa might not be real. If you're watching this and don't have a clear answer to that question yet, spoilers for life, I guess. So, yeah, the magic dies a little bit on that fateful day when you realize Santa isn't real. The idea that a Goofy Christmas special would even dare to put that idea in a kid's head is mind-boggling. I can only imagine the way parents would react. But I think it makes for one of the best Christmas stories to come from these movies. Throughout the whole special, Max is doubting Santa's existence thanks to some choice words from Pete, and Goofy is insistent that Santa's real. I can't actually tell for most of the special whether or not Goofy actually believes in Santa. Is he just a parent who wants to keep the magic alive for his kid, or is he a man-child himself who earnestly believes? I guess by the end it's a little bit of both, and if any character could walk that line while having it feel believable and earnest, it's definitely Goofy. And I think having it be both serves this story very well. We get to have Goofy dressing up as Santa to cheer up his kid, and also the inverse where when Max realizes how much believing in Santa means to Goofy, he dresses up for his dad. And of course, we know Goofy only cares so much about this because he wants his son to believe. He wants his son to maintain that magic innocence. But ultimately, oh, right, okay, that's how they get away with addressing this subject matter. Santa's real in the Mickey Mouse universe. And like, yeah, of course he is, but does it not water down the whole idea behind this story? At the end of the day, the short's about how much Goofy and Max care about each other, even if they're at odds, as well as how the actually important part of Christmas is, again, giving to others. I actually totally forgot about the whole sequence where they help out their less fortunate neighbors until this rewatch. So, with all that, the story still works. It's effective, and I enjoy it. But man, that ending does bug me. I just kinda wish they were allowed to commit to either Santa not being real or leaving it ambiguous. It's the one thing keeping this special out of the #1 spot. One final thing I noticed before we move on. Lumberjack lingerie. Why does Goofy always get the weird innuendos? And finally, we reach the peak of Mickey Mouse Christmas, Mickey and Minnie's The Gift of the Magi. This one's also based on a short story, 1905's The Gift of the Magi. Mickey and Minnie want to get each other gifts that complement their most prized possessions, but they're short on funds, so they end up trading those prized possessions for each other's gift, and it's presumably a horrible irony, but it goes to show just how much they care about each other. It's really that simple. I feel like it's easy to view this the same way one can view Mickey's Christmas Carol, a perfectly fine adaptation of a beloved story. But where my opinions on the original Charles Dickens story are kind of up in the air, I always consistently love and appreciate how The Gift of the Magi works. It's such a perfect microcosm of what the Christmas season is all about. Yes, we all stress over buying gifts, and we want to show we care, but ultimately how incredible the gift is really doesn't matter. There's a deeper truth in showing how much we care. It'll manifest pretty much no matter what the gift is. It's not about getting what you love, it's about being with who you love and expressing that as best you can. So, of course, Mickey and Minnie are the perfect couple to showcase such a pure and heartwarming story as this. There's a lot of smaller moments in this short that I really love and that perfectly capture these characters. I love Mickey offering Minnie a ride to work on this dinky little sled. I love when Mickey offers the little tree to the struggling family even though he knows it'll make Pete mad. In general, Pete is a riot during this whole thing. I love the performance Mickey puts on for the toy drive. I love Minnie working overtime only for Mortimer to completely demolish her hopes and dreams with a fruitcake. I love how the shopkeeper initially blows Mickey off, but once he hears his harmonica playing, he finds it in himself to hear him out. I love Pluto and Figaro getting along. Everything about this special just gives me so much Christmas dopamine. And this ending doesn't cop out the way A Very Goofy Christmas does. There isn't some sudden moment where Mickey gets his harmonica back and Minnie gets her watch back or something. No, they let the gift exchange happen, they both realize what they did for each other, and they happily enjoy how much those actions mean to them. And I think the narrator really says it the best.
A present is best when love's given to.
Well, that's the ranking. I guess this is my little Christmas gift to all of you. If you want to get me something, a like, comment, and subscribe will do just fine. In all seriousness, Merry Christmas. Or perhaps I should say, Merry Chris Hanukkahmas and a Happy Ramakwanzadan. Maybe just a Happy Holidays will do. I hope you all have as much fun with this time of year as I do. I cannot express how excited I was when I realized I got to make a Christmas special for you all. It's truly been such a pleasure to watch this little YouTube thing slowly grow. So thank you all so much for making that happen. Y'all have been the gift that keeps on giving. Here's to this channel growing even more after the Happy New Year. See y'all then.